Hello, learners of English. I and my buddy Joe English are sending our regards. Today, we would like to talk to you a little bit about Chippendale's ACT Prep Notes. So, we'll be talking about and reviewing some exercises provided by and notes provided by Chippendale in um, ACT or for ACT prep, okay, for learners who might be sitting for the ACT test. So without further ado, let's share the screen and share the PDF. Okay, so let's continue our discussion of the notes and exercises provided by Shebendale for ACT test prep. Uh, Grandpa said that in their old age, he and Grandma had often stumbled on those rough hewn cobblestones. Which of the following alternative would uh, be least acceptable? Remember, least acceptable. So, said, explained, pointed out, stated, all are the same. So the one that would be most least acceptable is A, which is recited. Recited is not the same as explain or point out. So the answer here is A. Okay, so A is the answer. Let's look at another exercise. Well, my decade-old hairstyle had begun to look like a tarnished crown, so I opted for blah, blah, blah. So, which of the choices would be or would not be acceptable? So, opted for, decided on, wished on, went for, chose. Which one? Okay. Decided on, wished on, okay, went for, and chose. Wished on is the least acceptable because decide and go for something and choose is the same as opt. So all these are similar in meaning, but wish is different from choose. When you wish something, it doesn't mean you choose this. It's a little bit different from choosing something. Okay, how about this exercise? Outside Navajo communities, such exposure is rare, which greatly contributes to blah, blah, blah. All right, which is not acceptable? Which choice would not be acceptable? Okay, such exposure rare, semicolon this, rare, and then period, this greatly contributes, or rare, a factor that. Okay, I think the least acceptable is rare, this, because is rare, this is the completion of an IC, an independent clause, and that's the start of another independent clause. So if we do that without proper punctuation, this would be a run-on. So B would be the least acceptable or not acceptable choice. Okay. Okay, let's look at another exercise or another note about punctuation. Okay, periods, commas, semicolons, dashes, colons, and so on. Okay, so if we look at this part, uh, a period or a full stop separates two complete sentences, or as we say, IC and IC, independent clause and independent clause. Also, a semicolon would separate an IC and an IC, complete sentence, or independent clause. Semicolon as well would separate two independent clauses, or it could separate an independent clause and then a list of things like these are the items that we need for camping, and then and then the colon, and then he says the things that needed for camping, the gear, the tent, the blah blah blah, and so on. Okay, examples. I'm going to apply to 4 colleges, period. I hope they all accept me. Another example for the semicolon. I am going to apply to 4 colleges. I hope they all accept me. So both are correct. I'm going to apply to 4 colleges. Surely one will accept me. Independent clause, independent clause. I'm going to apply to 4 colleges, colon, and he mentions these 4 colleges: Drury, MU, Rolla, and Yale universities. Okay? Be careful, you cannot use comma to separate two sentences unless you add a coordinating conjunction such as and, yet, or but. And these are part of the fan boys. As we know, these fan boys, we can, if we add them after the comma, then we can use the comma and one of these fan boys like and or yet or but to separate two independent clauses. For example, I'm going to apply to 4 colleges, comma, and I hope they all accept me. Then in this case, it is acceptable to use a comma if accompanied by one of the fanboys. Examples of questions using periods, semicolons, and so forth. Okay, those artists who look good on camera have a greater chance of success than those who do not, comma, examples are not difficult to find. Well, no change, or not examples, or not, yes, those who do not, and then full stop, and then we say examples are not difficult to find, or the last one, not, comma, and then examples are not. So I think the last choice is the correct one because we have an independent clause, IC, then we should use a period or full stop, and then we start the other IC with capital letter, you know, and we should not separate the subject and the verb with a comma. So D would be the correct choice. Okay, so D is the correct choice here. Okay, if we have one of the fanboys with the comma, then we can use it to separate two independent clauses. Without one of the fanboys like and, but, or, nor, etc., then we cannot use just the comma to separate two independent clauses. Okay, let's look at another exercise or example. A mosquito was poking at my forearm, and the batter seemed to blur into the woods behind home late, and we weren't playing to win, only play. No change, played, full stop, we. And played, so we played because we. So I think B would be the correct answer, all right? Because it's a complete sentence, I see, and then we should put a full stop, and then we should start the other sentence here. Okay? All right. Look at this exercise. Exercise sentence. They call her Diane of the Wolves, and period. Wildlife biologist Diane Boyd studied wolves in their native habitat. No change, or should we say they call her Diane of the wolves, comma, wildlife biologist Diane, blah, 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 or wolves, wildlife, comma, or wolves specializing in wild life. I think um, no change. Yeah, because this is a complete sentence and it ends in a period or full stop. And then we start a new sentence, an IC with a capital letter. So no change is the correct answer here. Okay. How about this example or exercise sentence? That one belongs to the apartment manager who lives upstairs, comma, then there is the broad, rattling, plastic bungalow of the seamstress who lives downstairs. Okay, um, I think G would be the best choice because that one belongs to the apartment manager who lives upstairs. That's a complete sentence. So we should put a full stop here. And then we start the other complete sentence with a capital letter. So I think G is the best answer. G is the best answer. Okay, how about this one? Amelia Hernandez bowed gracefully before the crowd, comma, many viewers stood and applauded. Okay, so the crowd, we should put a full stop and then we start the new sentence or IC with a capital letter, many viewers, blah, blah, blah. So I think C is the best answer. Okay. Okay. Because we should use a full stop to separate two independent clauses. That's the best choice to separate two ICs. And of course, we start the other IC or independent clause after the full stop with a capital letter. Let's look at another one. Soon McLean stepped on stage with his sax. I wasn't prepared for the impact. So sax, and then we put a period or full stop because that's a complete sentence. And then we start the other IC or independent clause with a capital letter I. So G is the best answer. G. Let's look at semicolons. All right. Here, even the parts of a chili vary. The seeds and veins of a pepper are hotter than the flesh. Okay? So even the parts of a chili vary. Should we put a semicolon or a comma or continue? Okay? So I think B is the best choice because a semicolon is like a period. It can separate two independent clauses, especially if they are related. So we are talking about two parts that are related here, two independent clauses. The seeds, blah, 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 are hotter, and even the parts of a chili vary. So I think B is the best choice. So we'll stop in this video at this point, and we will continue revising on some ACT exercises, especially Chippendale's prep notes and exercises in upcoming videos as well. And for now, thank you. I'll see you in the next one.